Hello everyone, my name is Frankie, and in this video we will be making Sedevacantism simple. We will be introducing Sedevacantism to those who have never heard of it yet before. Sedevacantism, briefly put, is the position of those Catholics who refuse to recognize John the 23rd and his successors, including Francis I, Jorge Bergoglio, as true popes. Sedevacantism is a theological conclusion which flows directly from dogmas of the faith. In this video, I will be explaining the dogma of the indefectibility of the Church, how it relates to our current crisis, and the conclusions which the Catholic is obliged to draw from it. The indefectibility of the Church is a dogma of faith, a divinely revealed doctrine, which means that the Church of Christ must endure until the end of time with the essential nature and qualities with which Christ endowed it at its foundation. In other words, it is impossible that the Catholic Church undergo a substantial change in her faith, morals, or essential structure. The Baltimore Catechism says of the Church, "It will last forever and be infallible forever. It will always remain as our Lord founded it and never change the doctrines he taught." By the way, the indefectibility of the Church is a dogma of faith, and were one to deny it, or to deny it its prerogatives, one would cease by that fact to be a Roman Catholic. The Second Vatican Council was a 3-year ecumenical council, or so-called ecumenical council, which lasted from 1962 until 1965. In it, various modern thinkers, such as Fathers Chanu, Murray, Congar, and many others who were silenced by the Holy Office in the 1950s for heresy, hijacked the ecumenical council and used it to teach modernist doctrine, which had already been condemned by the Catholic Church. I will briefly run over 3 doctrines which are heretical and are taught by the Second Vatican Council, but I will make another video addressing these more in detail. The first is that of religious liberty. The idea that man is free to choose, according to the dictates of his conscience, whatsoever religion he so chooses, was condemned as heretical by the Syllabus of Errors in the 19th century by Pope Pius IX. However, religious liberty is taught as doctrine, as authentic magisterium at the least, by the Second Vatican Council's Dignitatis Humanae. Secondly, there is the denial of the doctrine that outside of the Church there is no salvation. In the document Unitatis Redintegratio, the Second Vatican Council teaches that the Spirit of Christ uses non-Catholic sects as means of salvation. The idea, of course, that non-Catholic sects can have any salvation found in them at all is a heretical statement. Thirdly, there is the doctrine of collegiality taught by the Second Vatican Council's document Lumen Gentium, which alters the monarchical structure with which Christ endowed the Church. Collegiality describes the Church as having 2 sources of supreme authority, firstly the Pope alone, and secondly the Pope together with the bishops. Traditional Catholic teaching, by the way, of course, is that the Pope and the Pope alone is the subject of supreme authority in the Church. The doctrine of collegiality, therefore, turns the Church into a 2-headed beast, a hydra almost, and substantially alters the doctrine of the Church, which is in direct contradiction to the Church's indefectibility. As a result of what I've just explained, we know therefore that the Second Vatican Council and the reforms stemming from it have substantially altered the faith by means of teaching doctrines already condemned by the Church. For those, by the way, who seek to say that the Second Vatican Council was not infallible and we can therefore ignore it, we must remember that the Church cannot teach even fallibly that which she has condemned infallibly, because as a result of that happening, the Church would cease to be a means of salvation, the ark of salvation, and would be like a Protestant church, like a means of damnation in which we have to sift through to find which teachings are Catholic and which teachings are not. As a result, we are left with a dilemma of sorts. How is it that the Church of Christ, the Church founded by God himself, can substantially alter her teachings if she is indeed indefectible? The root is in an absence of authority, a defect as to the origin of the assertion made in these documents. The defect of which I speak is a lack of communication of divine authority from Christ. This means that John the 23rd and his successors, in essence, have never had authority from Christ to teach, rule, and sanctify the faithful. As a result, we have formal Sedevacantism. In our current situation, we know, of course, that there is a lack of a legal declaration of a non-papacy, and as a result, we do not assert that these men are not legally the Pope. We say that they are Pope Materialite. they are designated to the papacy, they have been elected to the papacy, they are in a position to receive authority, but yet have not done so, owing to their objective intention to impose a new religion upon the Catholic Church. However, we do act in accordance with the facts, as well as the conclusions flowing directly from the deposit of faith. This behooves us to affirm that John the 23rd and his successors, including Francis I, have never had any authority from Christ to teach, rule and sanctify the faithful, and were therefore not formally the Pope, not Pope formaliter. What that means to say is that these men never had authority from Christ, never had jurisdiction of the Church to impose such changes, because authority from Christ in these matters is altogether incompatible with the imposition of a new religion upon the Church. What conclusions, therefore, does the faithful Roman Catholic draw? Firstly, the faithful Roman Catholic is obliged to affirm that these men were not and are not true popes. Secondly, the Roman Catholic is obliged, above all, to keep and maintain the Roman Catholic faith as held for 2,000 years, without any dot or any iota of giving in or of compromise. No compromise with modernists, nor with Gallicans, nor with Lefebvrists, nor with those of a false religion. Thirdly, the faithful Roman Catholic is obliged to avoid all masses wherein the name of Francis is put into the canon of the Mass. These are known as unicum masses, and the reason for which the sedevacantist must avoid these masses is not only because it is affirming a lie in the most sacred part of the Mass concerning a matter of religion, i.e. the identity of the Vicar of Christ upon earth, it also affirms communion with Francis, which would be an act of schism. Lastly, the Roman Catholic is obliged to seek out, or perhaps even to found, a mission which could be serviced by a non-unicum priest, so that he or his family or his neighbours may receive the sacraments instituted by Christ. That is all in this video. I will leave the comment section open for all those who wish to ask questions. Nothing I say in this video is anything other than that which has come from the mouths of reputable sedevacantist clerics or sources of Catholic doctrine. If there is a question in the comment section which I am unable to answer, then I will pass it on to a sedevacantist clergyman or get you in contact with a sedevacantist clergyman. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye and God.